should definitely have that in our mind, because it just takes one or two people.
Yeah, I don't know of any softball that's at night, and frankly, with my girls playing softball, that third base, high corner, I wouldn't want to play under the lights, because it's,
There doesn't seem to be a push for it.
What can you do, okay, yeah, I think we should add, just look at it, you
Yeah.
know,
okay, put that.
the lights.
Change
But,
that around.
but would an option be to rent lights if there's a couple games that we would need them? At least they're getting lighting. Would that be acceptable or okay? That would be probably cheaper than putting lights in, right?
Yeah.
It could be something that could be explored.
Okay, can we look into that?
Is there any requirements under the, gosh, I can't think of the game acronym, you know, the regulations that we have to have that say if you're gonna hold a,
Like
playoff
the
game.
NFHS or PIAA?
PIAA, is there anything under the PIAA that says we have to have lights if we're gonna have a,
No, but it's an
championship?
advantage though. If we have like, we could host double headers, because they always ask you as a survey, can you host night games?
Okay,
So it's not a requirement though.
okay, that's.
Scoreboard is,
Scoreboard is,
yes.
okay. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, we're getting scoreboards, not cess bid.
Yeah, oh, that's different, yes, okay, okay.
Tom?
That's for state playoffs, stuff like that.
Yes.
Just want to clarify, baseball bleachers off completely, softball lighting moved up to all hat.
Yep.
Is there any others that?
Well, that was just my
Original
opinion,
then?
I mean, I don't have, if anyone, I don't know if anyone else has another opinion.
Just get a consensus for
The-
lighting.
The lighting, consensus for lighting for the, to put it as an alternative ad for softball lighting, yay and nay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Steve, Wayne?
I have no opinion on this.
Okay. All right, bleachers permanent for baseball, up or down?
And the path that goes over to the football field, that'll be enough if you have those bleachers. Is that,
Yeah,
Behind the
the
stadium.
path will take care of the handicap, or Jimmy John.
are you talking softball?
No, we're on baseball.
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 Adding the bleachers.
Bleachers.
Yeah, okay.
Alternative out.
Okay.
Yes.
We're adding or not?
Bleachers.
Well,
Adding or not, yeah,
Or
an
alternative.
alternative.
Just to see what they cost.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right?
It's not making it permanent.
You know, we're doing one, I think is working.
Everybody brings their chairs though, I
Yeah.
noticed that today.
Same as softball.
No. No.
I'm no.
Yes.
And Wayne?
No opinion.
Is there a type, there's a type? Okay. Okay.
It was put it on.
Well, no,
It's
I
just-
mean, we don't want to, I mean, if it wasn't, it's not. One,
Well,
no.
we can say no.
It's
to
an
it.
alternative
Yeah,
cost.
it's not,
Just-
it's not,
just
it's
put
just
it
gonna
in.
be, they're just gonna get a cost, it's not any.
Right.
it's not
Okay.
any cost thing.
It was a 4-4.
Just want to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So then the other items for softball.
Anything else, Tom?
I just want to clarify the irrigation system as well. That was something we're investigating due to limited water sources at this softball.
For softball.
Softball.
Because they did recommend keeping the grass water.
Yeah.
So they're very limited right now. It only is down below the track. And it
Big
can
old
come
fire
out.
hydrant right there.
Not our fire hydrant. That's the borough fire hydrant. So unless they put a meter on it and meter us for that, that wouldn't.
Why don't we look into that, because it's probably cheaper.
There's options. We were looking at either see if we can get an additional well, if we can accommodate a larger pump on our existing well below the track and see if we can get it pumped up. But we have to investigate that cost, but if it's not on the table, we don't want to put all the investigative work on because that's going to take some time and design and permitting for that.
Okay, then this is what we do. We tell the borough either give us a meter for that fire hydrant and bill us that way, or take the fire hydrant out. And that takes care of the problem, because then we don't have to worry about it.
Dr. Mitchell, that's.
I know.
We've been trying to get that fire hydrant removed out of the middle of that field for 12 years now.
It's just a clarification. We want it on the alt ad because of the limited water, and we're going to put some nice sod and grass down to keep that nice playable surface.
Or we
that would be, they would be all options, it would be add a
Yeah.
sprinkler, add a, the water wheel, add any way to get water there.
Isn't that fire hydrant gonna be in the way anyway?
No, we have it was earmarked off to the side. We would still between the track and the softball field the way we reoriented it.
Okay.
It was told to Brian it has to stay as it is.
So the water wheel, is that what we just got for pictures of them? Is that the same thing?
That was denied to replace it, but that was the baseball one.
That was the baseball.
Yeah.
And we did not do that?
We did not do a replacement on the baseball water wheel.
Okay.
So we're good with, I think we're good with the irrigation.
Yeah, that's all I need, is just, I can tell Brian and tomorrow that's how the design is.
All right, next is ACES Technology.
This is technology, yes. I know at the last board meeting, we discussed student devices. The board approved iPads. We had a conversation about Chromebooks, whether or not we should invest in Chromebooks and look at iPads. So I worked with our Apple representatives as well as 2 other vendors regarding Chromebooks. And what I tried to do is break it down as a per device cost. So you can see how that plays out from a specific device, and then when you add specifically to the iPad cases, there's 2 types of cases we're looking at from an elementary perspective. A case with a keyboard that would start at 3rd grade, and more protective case K1 and 2. So you're seeing some variance in case prices. I do want to note that the Logitech cases come with a 3-year warranty. If they break, we send them back, get a replacement. In year 2, if they break, we send them back and we get a replacement for those 3 years of that case life. Financing, you can see financing, Apple for the past 7, 8 years has always been 0%. Helps you from a school perspective in budgeting and leasing and reoccurring expenses from a lease cycle. It makes sense. It helps districts in that regard. You see the financing available to us for Chromebooks and breaking that down to a per device cost is $32. I think overall the interest would be around $17,000 on the Chromebook lease. The big item is the resale value of devices at the end of those 3 years. I conservatively placed $85 per iPad. Excuse me, the last 2 years, we have received the majority of our devices from our buyback vendors that we utilize. Majority of our devices are $105 or more. So I'm providing a conservative estimate there. And then when you look at the actual cost, you can see a comparison of actual cost of iPads versus Chromebooks. So in this scenario that we are proposing, 2 grade levels at Alloway Creek, integrating the iPads each year over the next 3 years in 2 grades. Just using that as an example, and the number of iPads we're considering, the potential savings is approximately $25,000. And you're comparing these 2 devices with the current vendor that I have at $343. My other vendor price is not included because it's higher. It's $361 for a Chromebook. That price is not as well as stable as what I can guarantee from the iPad vendor as well. So looking at that, we put a plan together, obviously, to support if the board would elect to make that decision to move forward. Support professional development for all of the ACES teachers with an iPad, as well as specifically over the summer for kindergarten and 3rd grade teachers. And throughout the year, obviously, we would bring the the entire community along on that journey, giving them, like I mentioned, an iPad as well, so that all the teachers would get comfortable with that device as we move forward. If we integrate the iPads in this way, we would utilize third grade Chromebooks that are a year old to support grades 1 and 2 who have 6-year-old devices. And then we would utilize grade 3 the following, or grade 4 the following year, and 5 to help support those grade levels ultimately to the point where then the entire building would be covered in grades K through 5 with iPads.
So what I'm hearing you say is that it was a good thing that I pulled this to talk about and get information.
Yes,
that was a really.
That's a big savings and a lot of money.
Yeah, it was a really, I thought it was a very interesting exercise that we went through.
Yeah.
Hats off, in my case, to Dr. Naylor, Mr.
Yes,
Zorkman,
thank you.
Yeah,
Building
this was great.
principals. I mean,
This was
they really dug in,
Yes.
dove in, and identified
Try to
a
keep it
real
simple.
manageable way.
Well, I appreciate this so very much.
So what we're asking is, this is an ask. The ask is to put this forward through on the May.
Wait a second here. Can I clarify? Can I ask?
Sure.
So when we pulled it, I think it was to get information to start maybe next year, hold it off if the Chromebooks are okay. I mean, I know the prices may go up a bit. But anyway, so that's what my understanding was, that we were gonna wait till next year, even to get, you came with this so quick. I'm so appreciative of this. I wasn't expecting it this quick.
So one of the things that we really look at, and we understood from the Apple presentation, was that much of the technology and the ability to use it with our students is excellent. The PD that we could provide for our staff would be excellent. So we know that the board pulled the Chromebook and asked to get Chromebooks to push 1 more year. The potential here with the low cost of iPads would be a recommendation that we would like to have is move this forward for May so that we can begin this process and have iPads in the hands of our kindergartners and 3rd graders next year, and all of our teachers the following year at a lower cost, much significantly lower than what we would have had with the Chromebooks, even with a $30,000 discount.
Is this in our budget?
This is something that we could, at this point, take from tech reserve that we have to be
Okay.
able to begin the process moving forward and be able to figure out financing and pricing for anything future moving forward.
Dr. Naylor, are we still in like the discount pricing window to get the iPads? Because I know they do that every year, that's why we typically do it early.
Yes. Well, this, I have until May 4th, but I can ask till our board meeting in May. Obviously, I think we can get them to work with us on that. If that's something that
If
we would like to.
they're not movable on that, then I would recommend that we call a special session to approve that quote so that we don't incur additional cost. I'd also ask for the iPads, and this might be a Dr. Berryman or Dr. Menzel question. Does the curriculum-wise, does it matter in certain grade levels versus others whether they have a keyboard or not? Like at the younger age groups, are they using the keyboard as much?
We actually talked about that, and K2 are fine without the keyboard, because they can still type and it's touchscreen, so they're fine, but by 3rd grade, they do need the keyboard. We had actually delved into that a little bit with Apple and in our group conversations, so.
And what would the total sticker cost be in this year's budget for the new?
For a lease, approximately $43,000
Yeah, it's
over 3 years.
it's a 3-year lease.
It'd be a 3-year lease.
So $43,000 over 3 years.
Every year.
Well, right now,
3 years.
Okay, so
120,000.
129 versus the 170 something that we were going to approve for these last month. Thank you.
Put it on May,
Yeah, touchscreen.
on May's
Yeah.
agenda,
Yes.
May's agenda. Brian, May's agenda.
Sure.
Putting on May's agenda.
Yes.
I understand.
Steve?
Yes.
Dwayne?
Yes.
All right. So that's your proposal for May's work Given the
I
caveat
would
that.
think they would be fine with.
Okay,
How do you know that? What are you talking about?
okay.
I'm fine.
Dr. Behrman, thank you for your help with that too.
For sure.
Hold on, we got one more thing. Autistic elementary classroom. This one's gonna be oh, who's taking this one? You? Oh, you. Okay, Dr. Piasky, you're up.
So we got the good news first.
So I think it was last month I shared with you about information about some incoming kindergartners, meetings that I have with parents and get to know the students come in, and there are 3 students who do need an autism class. So, and also I was asked about, do we support, do other districts, we send students to other districts for our students, and yes, we do. But however, what's happening is that other districts are in the same spot that we are. They have students coming in and they don't have classrooms to support their students either. So in addition to that, I currently have 2 students that are out in a district, and I got a phone call saying I need to bring them back because they need those spots for their students. So that leaves me right now, today, April 14th, with 5 students who need an autism class. So, you know, going around looking to see what's out there, and on that paper you have there's York Learning Center, which is an IU-based program, which is about an hour from here. And then also some of the other places such as High Point, which is out in York also. And you could see the cost per student in those 2 areas. And then we talked to Dr. Mitchell to say, what if we did it in-house? And we control, you know, the instruction, who's here, and build our class here ourselves. And so that would be my proposals for us to have our own elementary K-3 class. Now, if you're thinking what happens as they get older, well, we're gonna have to continue as they get older with the class.
So we would need a teacher, or do we already have a teacher?
No,
We started
we
across
need
from the bottom.
a teacher and 2 teaching assistants.
Yes, okay. I see that, I just wasn't sure if we had them.
No.
And would we could we possibly be taking outside district students as well? Which means
Eventually, yes.
that they would be paying a tuition to our school district, right, because, the other districts?
Yeah,
Because,
one of the things, Mrs. Russell, that's a really great point. In the county, as Dr. Fiaschi shared, we share our students with each other. We know what our costs are. So the cost of the district where we sent the 2 students, we had to pay a certain amount. That's always the lowest cost that we would ever have to pay for anything. The next to the lowest cost is bringing something in-house, because you can see what the cost is for using the IU at York Learning Center or a private school that's listed there. So we have a cap then that we would have with that group. And as Dr. Fiaschi shared, the cap is 8 students in a class for autistic support. So we could entertain 3 additional that would help make that cost go lower. So those 3 students then at $55,000 a student, or if we recalculate it, I think it's around $34,000 a student. That's what we would charge the other district.
Where, how much are we already paying for the 2 students that it's already in the budget, and where?
For this year, I'm not sure how much we pay for those students this year. We could find that information out.
Yeah.
So there's something already in the budget
For
for
the
at
current,
least 2
yes.
students.
Mhm.
That's probably a very expensive outside cost.
Yeah.
That's more expensive than what it would be to get it in-house.
Yeah, so it goes from top to bottom. The only thing that we didn't put in here, because it's not an option, is trying to find that other school district out there.
I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
not really $275, because you've already got
Correct.
something in the budget.
Correct. We do
For
have
those 2.
some money already budgeted for that.
and are you talking for the next school year, or like
For
now?
25, 26.
25, 26, yeah,
Correct.
okay, just making sure, yeah.
So, go ahead.
If we would hire staff to fill the need that we have now, as that need would possibly diminish, if we would have less enrollment, that we need that support, and that it would be a more financially viable option to, again, go back to outside placements. What is the law surrounding eliminating those positions?
So the positions we would mitigate through retirements and through other areas. So when we have students more students need learning support help, we have the staffing to be able to provide that. So what we would do is we would use that staff if we get to the spot where we would send them out to another district, we would reconfigure what we have increments and offset that.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we're stuck with the positions once we establish them, and we'd have to eliminate positions through attrition through other means.
Yeah, there are 2 reasons, I believe, in the state that allow you to furlough individuals. And that is changing programming or economic reasons.
So then outsourcing then doesn't become quite as expensive in the long run if it shrinks because
Correct.
you're having in-house that they stay in-house.
That's correct.
So thinking down the road, what
And
is
if we
that?
get to a spot, honestly, if we get to a spot where 1 or 2 leave the district, or it can be, I mean, you might find that sweet spot in the balance between students that need it from other districts and what we have here to offset.
In other words, would you put like hey guys, here's some resources here.
Yeah, that's.
And then they would go, oh, and then come in.
Yeah, it's kind of like bidding, I think.
Well, but that's what we do now,
Yeah.
like, we just email each other, have a student, do you have a spot?
Yeah.
No, or yes, I do, then they come here. We're just constantly in contact with each other.
I know you can't charge extra to gain.
And how many students can be in how many students can be in this classroom? 8?
8.
With 1 teacher and 2 assistants?
Yes.
Because the high need of the autistic students.
Dr. Mitchell?
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind, this to me appears to be a mandatory thing, because I'm sure we're supposed to accommodate any and all students, correct?
We are to provide a free and appropriate
Correct.
public education.
So that's something that we really have to concentrate on. We can't walk around it. We've got to do something for the students. I mean, even if they go, we still have to do something now.
Correct.
I mean, it's not like we have a choice, in my opinion. It's just my
Correct.
opinion.
This is why we brought it forward.
Because autistic children need special attention. And I knew that for a fact because I had one living in the house, so I know how complicated they are. Only, he went to Kennedy Krieger, but I don't think that's an option for this district. So I surmise looking, and if I'm hearing what you're saying, it's something we're gonna have to do as a district because Carolyn's back against the wall. She's gonna lose her 2 positions. We're getting 3 more in. I don't see how we obfuscate this situation at all. I really don't.
We're just trying to decide, do we want to bring it in-house or do we want to send them in?
Right.
The students will have their education.
The whole they're going to have
It's
their
just a matter of where
Another-
they're gonna be here, is
How are
gonna
we
be
going to do it?
outsourced.
Another part of it you have to add on there is transportation. So if we're going to send them to York, that's not included in this. Transportation is another component.
And that's
And
not
then
just
in addition to
transportation
that
from here,
is,
that's
if they
pick the
need a
student
personal
up.
care assistant there, that's another cost on that. I'm just saying, those are the things, that just the per pupil cost. This isn't all the other things that they need.
And I believe, Carolyn, if you don't want me saying, if you're going to do it in-house, we have to make sure that we have a qualified person in that position, because that's something specialized. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would be a teacher with a learning support position. and
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So it would have to be somebody that knows.
Certified learning, yes.
Dr. Fiaschi, what's the spread of the eating or the grade levels? Are there,
So by law, you could do 3. If you have more than 3-year age span, you have to have parents' permission for that.
And-
So right now, it's kindergarten, right now I have K to 3. So if there are any 3rd graders, then I'd have to tell the parents of the younger ones, hey, is it okay that, and they say no, then I'd have to find somewhere else for them.
of the group, that we have of 5, are some of those 2nd graders, some of those?
3 are kindergarten, 2 are 1st grade.
Future.
Pardon?
Rising.
Future.
Yeah, rising kindergarten,
Future.
rising first.
Through her pop-up as we've discussed.
Can parents of students who need autistic support, I'm not saying that they should do this, but do they have the option to go to a school like this and then we have to pay the cost anyway?
Yep.
There are cases that can happen. At this point, if they would choose to go there, they would pay. But if we don't provide it and they go, then we pay.
So what he's saying is,
We have to
is
offer something.
if we provide it, and we deem it's $55,000 per student, and they say, well, guess what, we're gonna send ours over High Point, we send 55. That's their, that we've already got a problem, if I remember correctly. Isn't that sort of the deal? They can.
No.
I thought that's the way it was before.
Complicated than that.
It's a little bit, but it's, I mean, not so much that.
We have to provide the education for them. So that this is what we're offering. If we were offering a class in here at Littlestown, this is what we would offer to you. Now, if there's a parent who puts in a complaint or who wants to go somewhere else, then it's a whole process that we have to go through with our lawyers to say why you want this school as to why you don't want Littlestown. And then you would get your lawyers involved.
But it's not, I thought that, if you remember correctly, that we had something similar, that it was basically because we have a program that's here, and you chose to go someplace else on your own free because you just wanted to do it.
No, there were lawyers involved with that, and we had to prove why the other school is better or not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So we
That was
already
a
have,
while ago.
we already have a program. We already have an existing program. It's functioning, it's working.
No, I don't have an autistic class.
Yeah, so what you're saying is everything is outsourced.
For autism, yes. Yes.
Can, if these, students are kind of bunched together grade-wise, can the teacher move up with them as they, can the three
Well,
grade range, can that float as
That's
you go
gonna
along?
depend on who's coming in. Like, so if I get more kindergartners, you know, when they become fourth graders, and now I have kindergarten first and second, I can't say that definitely. It's gonna depend on where you are in 3 years.
Say we get nobody in the next, no.
Well, if we get nobody, like Zilch to Zillow, then.
I'm just
it
asking,
could happen.
can the three grade level range, can that
It could
float,
happen.
or is it K to
It
two?
could, the classroom will have to move to the next building, and then it would have to move to the high school.
Do we get any funding for this? Any special funding for this?
Well, we get IDE funds.
And we get special ed, funds from the state, but they don't supplement this kind of.
Is that taken into consideration here?
They take it off of per pupil, not what services we have or don't have. So regardless, we would get money regardless of where they're placed. We would get it no matter how many kids we have, it's all. Okay. Costs.
So what are you asking for?
So we wanted to bring this forward because this is something that we're going to have to do, and we're going to provide it to the board so that we can bring it forward in May for approval, so that we can begin the process and have this together and ready for the beginning of the school year when we see and receive our 5 new autistic support students.
And this is for next year.
This is for 25-26, that's correct. So that's why I wanted to make sure we had questions and good discussion about it. I appreciate the good discussion and quality discussion. So this will be moved forward because it is a requirement. We wanted to make sure that everyone had a full and same understanding of what it is that we need to do.
Okay. Is there any other new business?
Yes. I know it's been a long night. I appreciate everyone coming and being here. However, just to make some clarifications on some things that were stated tonight that were, the 1% tax increase last year that was voted on, that passed, was for ACTI and our students. We're here for our students as board members. We have quite a long list of things that we've done extensively since this board, 8 of us, have worked together very well, and I know you have come on as well, but have worked together the last year and a half since we've been on the board, things for our students, and I would love to have a list for that possibly next week. I have it, I just didn't print it out because I wasn't expecting to speak on it tonight. Number 3, there are no assigned seats, I believe, in this board meeting, except for up here for the board members. Am I correct? In the administration? Okay, thank you. And Dwayne, you said tonight when you were speaking from the podium, which might I add, is not a good look to do your personal agenda from as a board member. However, you said you're here for the students. However, you voted negatively or no opinion, and how immature you were sitting with your